Now, your forecast first from KARK4.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's been another dreary day here in the natural state. And right now, we're actually adding scattered showers across the state, much of that now in central and southeast Arkansas. Warm front lifting north, bringing us temperatures in the 60s and 70s currently. But we also have a cold front approaching from the northwest that's going to lead to a big temperature drop overnight tonight through tomorrow morning. We're looking at the 40s to start the day, 40s throughout the day tomorrow. More details on that coming up in your full forecast in just a few minutes.
Now, from the station you count on for local news that matters, this is KARK4 News at 4.
And a good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. Today on Capitol Hill, Speaker Nancy Pelosi begins the highly choreographed process of transmitting the articles of impeachment against President Trump to the United States Senate, where a trial is expected to begin next week. Good afternoon, I'm Mallory Brooks.
And I'm Hillary Hunt. Thanks for joining us at 4. House Democrats also passing on a cache of new documents they say really strengthens their case, though it's not really clear whether Senate Republicans will allow it. Trevor breaks it all down from Washington.
Good evening. The Senate now takes over this impeachment process, and one big question that remains tonight: will witnesses be called?
The resolution is adopted.
With impeachment now in the Senate's hands, Democrats want the process to be impartial.
I hope to see a fair trial, and I hope that we get to the point where we have witnesses.
Whether to call witnesses in the Senate trial remains a major sticking point. Indiana Republican Congressman Jim Banks warns Democrats to be careful what they wish for.
Mitch McConnell, other Republican leaders have already said if the Democrats call witnesses, Republicans will call witnesses too, and that would likely include Hunter Biden, Adam Schiff, and others who have drugged this country through the mud.
But Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan says in the end, senators won't have a choice.
The American people are learning more and more about this, and I think the Senate's going to end up caving, and they're going to have to allow witnesses to testify.
Which would be fine with Indiana Senator Mike Braun.
All along, I've said that I'm okay with that as long as it's reciprocal.
The president has said his first choice would be to have the Senate simply dismiss the articles of impeachment, but even some Republicans aren't backing that plan.
I think it needs to go through the proper procedures, have the trial, and listen to both sides, and then vote on a verdict.
The trial's expected start date is Tuesday and could take anywhere from a few weeks to more than a month to complete. And starting next week, some of the first orders of business for the Senate will be to swear in senators and Chief Justice John Roberts, who will preside over the trial. Reporting in Washington, I'm Trevor Shirley, KARK4 News.
Trevor, thank you. We will continue to follow the latest developments on Capitol Hill. You can follow our coverage right now on your phone. Just go to KARK.com or the KARK mobile app.
And back here in Arkansas, 4 men are facing charges in connection to shooting at least 5 cows in Yell County. This all happened back in November of last year. According to an affidavit, at least 2 cattle farmers told the Yell County Sheriff's Office that their cows had been shot on Rock Island Road. 3 of those cows have died. Deputies interviewed the men. You see them right there. All 4 admitted to shooting cows on Highway 154. The men also said they had shot some horses and a donkey, but those have yet to be found.
The man accused of shooting an elementary school principal last year, now in custody. Matt Meller and a friend were shot when they thought they were buying a car. Pine Bluff police say the suspect was pretending to sell a Corvette online, but when the 2 men got there, he pulled a gun on them. He was hit twice in the back. The suspect's name and charges have not been released. Meller has since recovered from that incident.
And new at 4, the FAA is investigating after a Delta flight declared an emergency and dumped jet fuel all over a residential neighborhood in Los Angeles. That all happened less than 24 hours ago. Several schools and playgrounds filled with children were sprayed with that fuel.
The plane bound for Shanghai had just taken off from LAX with 164 passengers on board. Fortunately, no one in the plane or on the ground was seriously injured. Dan Shinneman reports.
Frightening sight in the sky over Los Angeles, prompting alarm on the ground. On Tuesday, a Delta flight making an emergency landing was forced to dump fuel that rained down on several schools in the flight path.
Unfortunately, they didn't have sufficient altitude to disperse the fuel, so a number of our schools, a little bit more than 20, were impacted. Schools like Park Avenue more than others.
The plane made it back safely, No one on the ground suffered serious injuries, but dozens of people, including children, were treated for skin irritation and breathing problems.
Well, he was one of the kids on the playground. His clothes was all inside the bags because it smells like gas, and we took him to the emergency yesterday because he had like red all over his back. But other than that, he's fine.
Today, students returned to school after an extensive hazmat cleanup.
The school was cleaned top to bottom. Every exterior surface has been cleaned, so there's no remaining exposure at the school.
County health officials are monitoring the air while reassuring the community no long-term impact is expected.
I think it's still reasonable to continue an environmental investigation to make sure that air monitoring is continued for a period of time.
The FAA is investigating why the fuel dump happened so low over schools, as the community waits for answers. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
Dan, thank you. The Arkansas Lottery had a record month in December on the amount of instant tickets sold, but the amount going to scholarships was down from last December. Our own Jay Burr is in the newsroom to help explain why that is, because, Jay, you would think if sales are up, that would mean scholarship money would be up as well.
Yeah, Marla, you would think that, but those scholarships are based on revenues, not necessarily amount of tickets sold. The Arkansas State Lottery actually makes more money from their draw games such as Powerball, Mega Millions, but also local draws like the Natural State Jackpot and the Pick Threes. They tell me they make about 43 cents on the dollars for those games, where the instant ticket games that had those record sales in December don't make as much, probably about half, and really varies depending on the amounts that are being sold and the effects that the profits, which affects the amounts going to scholarships.
You're going to have these months where we may have a record month, but because we sell more instant games, our profit is going to be actually less.
Now, Woosley also tells me that the amount of money varies going into scholarships month to month as well, based on how much the lottery makes. So after prizes, administrative costs, vendor contracts, everything like that are paid out, everything remaining goes into the scholarships, and then basically they'll zero out each month. Mallory?
Because safety matters, the Conway Fire Department is investing in a new life-saving tool as well as some training. Get this, all staff at the department are trained in basic EMT skills now. Some even certified as paramedics this year. About 80% of the fire department's calls for service are medical. Last year alone, they responded to 5,000 medical calls. When the department responds to a medical call, it will now have the Zola X Series monitor defibrillator on hand.
Cardiac arrest training, and it's integrating our EMT basics, our advanced EMTs, and our paramedics. Just trying to get us all on the same page with our protocols. That way, whenever we pull up on scene, we know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be an efficient, well-oiled machine and hopefully save somebody's life.
I spoke with a man today who says he wouldn't be here without that new training and the new tool. His story will be on KARK News at 6.
A historic bridge in North Arkansas set to be destroyed later this year may not come down after all. Caitlin Sinnett explains how some people in Newton County are taking action to try to save the old Pruitt Bridge.
Catherine, Nance, and her sister Shirley were raised near the Pruitt Bridge.
My father helped build it, so the old bridge is very dear to our hearts.
But the almost 90-year-old bridge is set to come down this fall.
I wanted to cry because it means a lot to us. We had a lot of memories from it.
The Arkansas Department of Transportation is now building a new one right next to it over the Buffalo National River because the old one is too narrow.
I really would like to see our elected officials and our governor look at this and help us solve this problem.
One Newton County leader is doing everything in his power to try to keep this bridge from being destroyed, but he says not all county leaders are on board.
The thing about it is, none of the JPs but myself is wanting to keep it.
Arliss Jones wants the county to pass a stay of action to prevent RDOT from destroying the bridge. But he says the other justices of the peace keep tabling it. Meanwhile, hundreds of people have signed a petition to save the bridge.
The public now is getting confused why they can't see something done when there's so many signatures going on the petition wanting it saved.
RDOT has said they've given municipalities, including Newton County, several chances to buy the bridge. But Jones and others in the community want to keep fighting for it.
I have many petitions here signed by people of Newton County. Couldn't the people have a choice in whether or not to tear it down? Let the people speak.
Why would anybody want to tear down our history?
Reporting in Pruitt, I'm Caitlin Sinnett,
Thank you, Caitlin. I got to say, it's napping weather outside.
Absolutely.
It is
It's
muggy. And when's that sunshine going to come back? Kristen's going to tell us in about 15 minutes.
Plus, does eating more vegetables slow down the progression of prostate cancer? What doctors are saying coming up next.
Puerto Rico hit with another aftershock this morning, just days after a magnitude 6.4 quake ravaged parts of this island. Hundreds of homes were destroyed in Guanica, Puerto Rico. Thousands of people have been displaced, and many are sleeping in tents because they're too afraid to go back inside their homes. Authorities say that one of the major power plants in Puerto Rico could take up to a year to repair. Coming up on NBC Nightly News, we'll speak with some of the folks who were displaced. This is an island still reeling more than 2 years after Hurricane Maria. We're also speaking with one family of a 13-year-old girl who died just days ago, they say, because there was no functioning hospital.
You're watching KARK4 News at 4.
A new study suggests women's blood vessels may age faster than men's. Researchers from Cedars-Sinai analyzed several decades of data from nearly 33,000 people. They found women showed signs of elevated blood pressure earlier in life when compared to men, and it continued throughout their lives. The scientists say this may mean women's blood vessels age at a faster rate than men's.
And swapping over to men, eating more vegetables may not slow down the progression of prostate cancer. California researchers looked at nearly 500 men who were diagnosed with early-stage prostate cancer. They were given written information about diet and cancer, or were told to eat at least 7 servings of vegetables every day. 2 years later, patients in the veggie group did not show a greater decline in the cancer progression than those in that control group. And a prescribed weight loss drug may be associated with the increased risk of cancer. That's according to an alert published by the FDA. The agency says the clinical trial assessing Beovix's safety showed a, quote, possible increased risk of cancer. That alert does not specify what types of cancer were diagnosed.
The American Cancer Society estimates almost 14,000 new cases of invasive cervical cancer will be diagnosed this year, and more than 4,000 women will die from it.
And Mandy Gather will talk about the importance of prevention and early diagnosis.
Cervical cancer was once one of the common causes of cancer deaths for women in the United States, but the number of cases being caught and successfully treated has increased, with more women getting a regular pap smear. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, almost all cervical cancers are caused by human papillomavirus. HPV is a common virus that is transmitted via sexual activity. While most people will get it at some point in their lives, it is important to get your regular HPV test. Coupled with that, your pap smear will monitor possible cell changes on the cervix caused by HPV that could become cervical cancer. Other things that can increase your risk include smoking, suppressed immune system, using birth control pills for 5 or more years, having given birth to 3 or more children, having several sexual partners. Health professionals also recommend that if you haven't already, get the HPV vaccine. And as always, if you have any questions, talk to your doctor. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Mandy, thank you. A small study suggests marijuana users may still experience impaired driving even if they are no longer high. Researchers used a customized simulator to test the driving abilities of nearly 50 people. Those who used marijuana had not touched the drug for at least 12 hours and were sober. Overall, heavy marijuana users, especially those who started using before age 16, displayed worse driving performances compared to non-users.
And still to come, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced its 2020 inductees. And Harry and Meghan, they're in that period of transition. We're going to break down their royal exit. That's next. Kristen.
Well, we're seeing a few isolated showers across the natural state this afternoon. That's going to continue towards the evening hours as cold front comes in from the northwest. Our crane impact number going to be rising, especially from Friday into Saturday. That's when we have our second cold front bringing widespread rain chances, even some storms, and behind it a big blast of cold air. Temperatures dropping. We'll let you know what those temperatures look like for the weekend and early next week in just a couple of minutes.
You're watching KARK4 News at 4.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle said they want to continue their charity work after their independence bid, but it's still unclear how the royal duties will fit into their new lives. Meghan and Harry are due to begin a period of transition that will see them split their ways between Britain and Canada. Kelly Cobella reports from London.
Harry and Meghan said they wanted to continue with their charity work when they posted their own Declaration of Independence. But it's still not clear how royal duty will fit into their new lives. While future King Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate, are back on royal duties today, behind the scenes, royal aides work on rewriting the royal rulebook for Harry and Meghan. Almost half of Brits surveyed support Harry and Meghan's independence bid, but the majority don't think they should get public money or have taxpayers foot their security bill.
The media has been unrelenting, so for them, I think it's just fair enough that they are at least protecting themselves by taking time off.
I think it's going to be very difficult for those two, very, very difficult, I think, because they've got to be careful how they step, what they do.
Difficult for the Queen, too, keeping the couple and the country happy. If she strips them of their titles, it could bring back bad memories of Harry's mother, Princess Diana, and her treatment by the royal family. Let them keep the titles, and they could be viewed as using the monarchy to boost their brand and make money. Prince Harry will have to face at least some members of the British press for the first time since this big announcement. Tomorrow, he's here at Buckingham Palace for his first royal engagement since his big announcement. Kelly Cobella, NBC News, London.
Now, from KARK4, your weather authority, Arkansas's certified most accurate forecast.
Kristen, it has been yucky out there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just the drizzle. It's almost like you just want it to rain and be done with.
Just do something, because the drizzle and the fog has just been so miserable, and it's been very pesky and annoying too. Like, you can't walk outside with getting all that drizzle and mist,
the humidity
on your face, your hair's blowing up. Yeah, I walked outside just to go from my car to my apartment, and I could feel my hair just getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly. Good ponytail day.
I mean, we do get humidity during the winter, so that's not uncommon, but it's certainly a good nap day. But I mean, everyone's working, right?
That is true. If you were home today and you got a nap, then it was
a
good day.
You. Yes.
Absolutely. You are very blessed.
If not, if you are, struggling through this miserable, dreary weather, there's good news to share. We do get the sunshine back. It's just a couple more days of very similar conditions to what we experienced today, Tuesday, and Monday. Now, today was a bit different even than yesterday, and much different than Monday, with high temperatures across the state actually reaching the middle 60s to some spots getting closer to the middle 70s. Check out Monticello today, reaching 72 degrees, the high 73 in Camden, 67 in Hot Springs. We had a high of 65 right here in Little Rock, and even Mountain Home got up to 65 as well. The reason for that, a warm front that's been lifting northwards, and it's still sitting over us as of 4 o'clock this evening, with temperatures now at 65 in Little Rock, 69 in Pine Bluff, 70 still in Monticello, 72 in Camden, and 63 in Harrison. Notice, you can see where the warm front's located, and it's sitting right across central Arkansas, and locations down towards our south are pushing closer to the 80s. In Dallas at 79, 79 Houston, and Austin, Texas, actually breaking into the 80s at 82. Meanwhile, looking off towards our north, we have 50s on the map from Springfield, Missouri, to even 40s across Kansas, 46 now in Wichita, and 43 in Dodge City. The cold front itself starting to make its approach into the natural state. We are seeing, as a result of the warm front meeting the cold front, scattered showers mainly across central as well as east Arkansas. Starting to see some of that rain trickle in from Arkadelphia through Pine Bluff and just through the southern half of Pulaski as well as Lonoke counties. We're going to see those rain showers continuing in the next couple of hours, but this cold front's going to help lower our rain chances overnight tonight through tomorrow as it attempts to push all of that dreary, warm, and moist air down towards our south. Overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, though, temperatures will be dropping pretty significantly as the cold front comes in. We're looking at the 60s at least through the 9 o'clock hour, but then overnight past midnight, and more so by the time you wake up and start your Thursday, we'll have temperatures down around 41, cloud cover sticking around, and winds actually increasing in speed, coming from the northeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour throughout the day tomorrow. High temperatures tomorrow going to be closer to about 20 degrees cooler than today, 46 the forecast high by the afternoon. And your rain chance will sit around 30%, but mainly be across south as well as west Arkansas. So again, as we head towards those evening hours, the cold front will push through central and southeast Arkansas. Shower chance stays on the lower side, but a few isolated showers throughout the day on Thursday. Not completely out of the question. We're not looking at a big chance of rain. However, our next big chance for rain does come in Friday night, especially through Saturday morning. Now, behind our first cold front that's coming in today, we'll have a blast of cold air, temperatures dropping, then trying to rebound for Friday. Better chances for showers and even some storms coming our way by Saturday throughout the early morning and mid-afternoon hours as well. Look what happens behind the front, though. We'll have sunshine coming back across the natural state. A Canadian high sets up, bringing in cold air and a big drop in temperatures. We'll be seeing those temperatures falling from the 60s today into the middle 40s tomorrow, 50s Friday and Saturday. Saturday's high comes around midnight, then falls throughout the day down to low 30s to start off your Sunday morning. And we'll be sitting mainly in the low to middle 40s throughout the beginning and middle of next week, which is cold. Morning lows even colder, below freezing, but we do get the sunshine back.
Oh, but I see those 20s and I'm like,
I know.
Start shaking.
I don't like the cold, so it's going to be a rough week next week.
I love your dress, by the way.
Thank
it's
you.
The sunshine of the day that we
sunshine that she needs to breathe.
I was going to say, I figured, you know, since we're not seeing it, I'll wear a bright color. Maybe it'll lift some spirits because it's hard, you know, especially cloudy, not just one day, but all week. It really gets everyone's spirits down.
And mid-January, you know, this time of year, we need some sunshine.
Thankfully, right now it's not cold and rainy. I mean, we'll kind of get that in the next couple of days, but at least it was a little bit warmer today, too.
That is true.
And the driving drizzle is what I hate.
The driving drizzle.
The driving drizzle.
There you
Let's
go.
coin that one, the driving drizzle.
Like, where do you even put your windshield wipers?
You don't, it just appears.
Sometimes it's on low, and other times you got to turn it up because you're in a heavier drizzle. I mean, it's just crazy.
You know what else you got to turn up?
What?
The music, because we're about to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And if you like rock and roll, they have announced their 2020 inductees. Depeche Mode, the Doobie Brothers, Whitney Houston, 9 Inch Nails, the Notorious B.I.G., T-Rex will all be rocking and rolling the exclusive club. A band or performer can't be nominated until 25 years after their first album is released. The 35th Annual Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee ceremony takes place on May 2nd in Cleveland, Ohio, and will be broadcasted on HBO. Hope you have the channel. Well, Andrew Yang is getting some serious star power to back him up. Comedian Dave Chappelle announced his endorsement of the presidential candidate on Tuesday. It comes hours before the final debate among the Democratic hopefuls before the Iowa caucuses. Yang didn't raise enough money to participate in that debate. Chappelle joins the actor and singer Donald Glover, also known as the Childish Gambino, in supporting the New York entrepreneur.
Well, a new buddy cop film marks the end of a trilogy nearly 25 years in the making. David Daniel takes a look at Bad Boys for Life.
I'm done, Mike. I'm retired.
Uh-oh, here we go again.
You want your legacy to be muscle shirts and body counts?
What happened to Bad Boys for Life?
It's time we be good men.
Martin Lawrence and Will Smith aren't boys anymore. The duo dust off their badges and tackle one last case in Bad Boys for Life.
Marcus, somebody's trying to kill me.
Who wants to kill you?
I don't trust a person that don't want to kill him. Hell, put my name up there.
Thanks a lot. We got it, Marcus. We appreciate it.
Remember, knock and talk.
We last saw detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett in Bad Boys 2 back in 2003. Years of development limbo delayed a third film, but in this long-awaited last entry, the pair teams up with a squad of fresh-faced officers to take on a vengeful cartel boss.
Bad boys, bad boys. Hey, what she gonna do? What she gonna do when we come in?
Hey, no, never. Y'all will never do that again.
In these streets, I never trusted anybody but me. I'm asking you, man. Bad boys.
One last time. One last time.
I'm the definition of.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Makes you want to sing Bad Boys, Bad Boys. What you gonna do?
Nostalgia.
I know. Well,
brings you back.
Mallory, you won't believe this. This next story we have coming up. Target is reporting lackluster in those holiday season sales. I was there all the time.
I don't believe it.
I don't either. We're going to break down the numbers.
I don't believe it. And former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn wants out of his plea agreement. Why he's saying he was tricked. Coming up next.
You're watching KARK4 News at 4.
At a White House ceremony late this morning, President Trump and the Chinese deputy premier will sign the Phase 1 trade deal with China.
Now, a lot of Arkansans watching this. As Joe Khalil reports, the White House says it should bring much-needed relief to farmers and manufacturers throughout the U.S.
Yeah, Hillary and Mallory, a major step forward today. This could infuse hundreds of billions of dollars into our economy if China keeps its part of the deal. President Trump today called it a historic one. President Trump signed a trade agreement with China Wednesday morning, committing China to buying hundreds of billions of dollars in American goods and services.
Far beyond even this deal, it's going to lead to an even stronger world peace. We now have a big investment in each other.
The deal marks Phase 1 in a two-part negotiation. The U.S. scaled back tariffs on Chinese imports and says it may remove all tariffs in Phase 2.
It's going to be so special, however, to our manufacturers, our farmers, our bankers, our service people.
The doubling of United States agricultural exports to China is a huge deal.
Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue praised the deal, which promised $80 billion in agricultural sales to China over the next 2 years.
I'm expecting we'll get those markets back fine and quickly.
The president says there's also what he calls an enforcement provision worked into the deal if the Chinese government devalues its currency. But some Democrats say the deal only provides modest relief to a situation the president created.
This is a real serious problem that the president created for California agriculture.
Congressman John Garamendi also criticized the deal for not going far enough to address intellectual property theft and ignoring environmental and human rights abuses.
This deal really doesn't even get us back to where we were before Trump started a trade war.
President Trump says negotiations for Phase 2 of the deal will start immediately. And we mentioned agriculture, but the president also said today it would infuse about $50 billion into our manufacturing industry and more than $200 billion over 2 years in our financial services industry. In Washington, Joe Khalil, KARK4 News.
Thank you, Joe. Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn wants out of his plea agreement. He's asking a judge to allow him to withdraw his guilty plea. Flynn pleaded guilty to lying to investigators about his communications with a Russian ambassador. He also cooperated with special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. Flynn recently said he was tricked into entering that plea agreement. And the 2 female astronauts on the International Space Station are performing another spacewalk today. Flight engineer Jessica Muir and Christina Koch are replacing nickel hydrogen batteries with new lithium-ion batteries. This is the first of 2 spacewalks to complete this project. The second spacewalk is set for January 20th.
2 Catholic popes, one retired, the other currently serving, appear to be at odds over a moderate reform to the church. Molly Hunter reports from Vatican City.
On shelves this morning, the much-anticipated and already wildly controversial new book, From the Depths of Our Hearts. The book, which is written in part by Pope Benedict XVI, defends the Church's practice of celibacy among priests. But it comes at the same time Benedict's successor, Pope Francis, is considering whether some older married men could be ordained in very remote areas like the Amazon. But Pope Benedict, through his private secretary, says he was not a co-author, merely a contributor.
Some in the church see this as breaking with the tradition, to put pressure on Pope Francis not to even go down that road of the ordination of married men.
The Vatican responding, suggesting Pope Francis agreed with his predecessor in principle on celibacy, but in the most remote areas, the shepherd has to think of the faithful. At stake, a centuries-old tradition and the fear that easing it may be a gateway for wider change.
There is a teaching authority in the church, and the Pope is the center of unity and the main teacher.
There's only one.
There's only one.
Ever since Benedict became the first pope in 600 years to resign, the relationship between the pontiffs has been the object of endless fascination. When Benedict retired in 2013, he vowed to remain hidden from the world. But as it turns out, he's not great at hiding, and some worry this latest religious rift may do more to divide than unite.
To be clear, Pope Francis has the final say. There's only one pope, and he didn't bring it up in this morning's general audience, but it does raise questions about future retired popes. What can they wear, do, say? How involved can they be going forward? Molly Hunter, NBC News, Vatican City.
Thank you, Molly. And because money matters, Nissan is recalling 346,000 vehicles, all a part of that massive Takata airbag recall. The models involve a range from 2001 all the way to 2011. It's the final recall that they've agreed in the 2015 settlement with the U.S. safety regulators. And 2020 starts off with a bang for mortgage business. Total mortgage applications surged more than 30% last week. That's according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. It was driven mostly by applications to refinance, which soared 43% on the week. Home buyers also rushing in, sending purchase applications volume up 16% for the week. Purchase mortgage activity hit the highest level since October 2009. And we talked about this earlier. Mallory and I were shocked by this. Target reported a lackluster holiday sales season, and it was expected to actually be a bright spot for the retailer. Target said it found strength in apparel and beauty, but saw a lot of slumps in key holiday categories like electronics, toys, and parts of home business.
I still don't believe it. I don't believe it. One man's next stunt is going to be hot, really hot. Plus, want to get free nuggets from Chick-fil-A? We all do. How you can score the deal coming up next.
We are tracking some of those safe speed zones for your Thursday. In Little Rock, Markham, and Kavanaugh, that's where law enforcement will be checking those speeds. And Pulaski County, we're going to be on Pratt Road checking for any speeding there. I'll have those live updates on the roadways as well coming up tomorrow.
You're watching KARK4 News at 4.
There are several stories creating a buzz on social media.
We've got some pretty good ones today. Let's start with number 4. This one's a hot one. A high wire artist. You may know him, Nick Wallenda's next stunt is going to be real hot. I mean, really hot. He's going to high wire walk over an active volcano. What? He plans to perform the 1,800-foot walk on live TV over Nicaragua's Volcano on March 4th. He promoted the upcoming event on Twitter Tuesday, calling it his, quote, most dangerous walk yet. He told Good Morning America he'll be training blindfolded with a gas mask to prepare for the low visibility and the volcano's sulfuric gas. I'm scared of that one for him.
Oh my goodness, the Wolinda family, they pray the whole time. If you ever listen to their mics, they are praying. I think we're all praying for them when they're up on the high wire. And number 3, today is National Hat Day. There are lots of different kinds of hats, and today is a day to celebrate all of them. Hats can be worn for warmth or protection or ceremonial or religious reasons, or just for fun and fashion, or on the weekend when you don't want to fix your hair. I mean, mainly, right? Celebrate National Hat Day by wearing your favorite hat, learning more about hats in a particular era, or learning about how they're made.
I like a good cowboy hat, Mallory.
Love that.
Number 2, Wednesday is also known as National Bagel Day. Yum. So get a hat, get a bagel, get that carbohydrate goodness. They were once introduced in the U.S. by Polish Jewish immigrants. That all happened in the late 19th century. Bagels were made by hand until the 1960s. That's when a bagel maker was actually invented. But it was the last quarter of the 20th century when bagels really hit their stride and their popularity spreading across the country. I love a good bagel.
Coming in at number 1, talking about good food, the best, Chick-fil-A. It's making sure its customers eat more chicken. It's giving away chicken for free. The fast food chain announced Monday for the rest of the month it will give away free nuggets to customers. Chick-fil-A says in order to get your free 8 count, first you have to create an account on the restaurant's mobile app. If you already have an account, the restaurant says just sign in to the app to get the deal. Chick-fil-A will have the offer open now through January 31st.
I got my nuggets.
Did you already get them?
I have
Did
the
you get
app.
them?
I'm a big Chick-fil-A goer.
It doesn't get any better than Chick-fil-A.
Those
love,
nuggets.
love it. 8 count's a good deal, too.
I know,
to get for
free.
free.
And
That's
you actually
amazing.
get a pick between the 8 count of nuggets or this like kale crunch salad. But I had to go with the nuggets. I should have gone with the kale crunch.
Definitely go with the nuggets.
Oh my goodness, the nuggets are the best. Those, the chicken minis, everything. Or Chick-fil-A, as my kids call it. It's good. Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A. We go there every single day.
Well, you know what? It's a good day to go out and get you some good food, something to kind of warm your spirits and uplift your attitude, because I know it's been hard to stay positive with all this cloudiness, fog, and mist. Temperatures say that we're in the 60s here in Little Rock, 65. We have a big cool down the way. It's going to be much colder tomorrow and even colder next week. We're going to talk more about that coming up at 5 o'clock.
Hey, Chick-fil-A always says my pleasure. That always lifts my spirits.
I used to work at Chick-fil-A, and I will tell you that years afterwards, or at least in the first year afterwards, when I would hold the door open for people, they'd say thank you, and I'd always say my pleasure.
I love that.
It's drilled into your brain there.
The kindest people in the world, when it's raining, they come out with umbrellas. They're
I know.
just, Chick-fil-A
it's always
is the best.
the guys who, most of the time, it's the guys who are doing that.
I love it.
Which is great. Really gentlemanly.
My pleasure.
My pleasure. Well, it's been our pleasure, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
You're watching KARK4 News at 4.
FedEx ground service is no longer on a blacklist for Amazon Prime deliveries. On Tuesday, the online retailer lifted a temporary ban that prevented third-party sellers from using FedEx ground at home services for Amazon Prime packages. The ban was imposed last month because Amazon was concerned about FedEx's delivery time during the holiday shopping season. But those sellers were still allowed to use the more expensive FedEx Express service. The 2020 census is about to begin, and the Census Bureau is spending a pretty penny to make sure people respond. It's rolling out a $500 million marketing campaign. That's more than $1 per person living in the U.S. Officials say it's necessary to make sure people know it's important, safe, and easy to respond to the census. They are particularly concerned about underrepresented communities who often go unaccounted for. The nationwide population count only happens every 10 years.
And General Motors has unveiled what I'm calling the Swagmobile because it looks nice. The newly redesigned GMC Yukon. The 2021 Yukon was unveiled Tuesday in Colorado. The next generation SUV features the upscale Denali package, a first ever AT4 model. The body allows the body of the SUV to raise for an additional 2 inches off the ground clearance. It's perfect for off-roading. And the all-new 2021 Yukon and Yukon XL go on sale this summer. Okay, and this is what everyone is talking about. Look at that. Baby Yoda just gets bigger and bigger. From the hit Disney Plus show The Mandalorian to plush toys made their debut in May. To a mural, look at that, in Oklahoma. It comes on the word that the phenomenon is coming to Build-A-Bear Workshop. Kids are going crazy over this. Build-A-Bear will no doubt benefit in 2020 from the Baby Yoda. Like most toy companies, Build-A-Bear was left in the dark about the surprise character, so it had to work quickly to create a product based on the child in order to meet that growing demand.
And we just talked about the kindness earlier of Chick-fil-A workers. Well, listen to this. Getting caught in a violent storm can be scary, especially if you're trying to protect children. That's what happened to one woman in Alabama who got help from a Chick-fil-A employee. McKinley Strother reports.
About the weather and how bad it was possibly going to get, but we weren't expecting it to happen as soon as it did.
It came in quickly all across the Tennessee Valley. But all is quiet in these gutters for Chick-fil-A tonight, though this employee is making a lot of noise online. Many calling him a hero.
I appreciate it, but I don't really think that's the case.
Lauren Langley took to Facebook to share her scary experience from Saturday when she and her 2 young boys were caught in a storm outside the restaurant. She says her car was shaking side to side. She couldn't see out the window, and the lightning strikes were plentiful. At one point, she says she even felt helpless. Then Ethan came along.
She was so scared and wanted to get her kids to safety.
He rushed out and helped bring her and her boys inside the restaurant to their safe space. Then in true Chick-fil-A fashion,
and we just let her have some food on us.
A gesture that did not go unnoticed. So far, the post has been shared online more than 12,000 times.
I would hope that somebody would do that for me, you know.
And Ethan says all of his co-workers would have done the same thing. Love that.
That was awesome. Well, right now it is 4:51 and you are looking at drive times. You know, I-430 to Benton looks pretty good, but everything else starting to get a little slow. Stick around. Gymnast Allie Raisman says she will not compete in the upcoming Olympics. This is actually her third straight Olympics to sit out. In an Instagram post, she said she lives a fast-paced life and she has to remind herself sometimes to slow down. Raisman also says she wants to make gymnastics safe for young females. She also suffered sexual abuse from USA Gymnast team physician Larry Nasser. And speaking of the Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics kick off in July, and this morning we're getting our first look at that, at the tickets for the Summer Games. This is what they're going to look like. The tickets were modeled after a Japanese kimono, and they come in purple, red, blue, and green. The four colors represent the country's four seasons. So far, more than 5 million tickets already been sold for the Games.
A big night tonight as the Razorback basketball team is ready for a home game tonight. They are taking on Vanderbilt at Bud Walton Arena. Good luck to the Hogs. Hope they can win. Kentucky is this weekend. Tonight's game against Vandy is at 7:30. And that is it for us here at 4. Thank you so much for joining us.
And guess what? Bob and Ashley are up next. Stick around for your news at 5. There they are.